So today we're going to be talking about something slightly different, self protocol. I'm really excited to share this with you today. Amazing, looks like we're all done. Let me just hide the little thing at the bottom. Ooh, can I hide it? You know what, I'll just leave it. Self protocol is a new protocol that we just launched a few weeks ago at ETH Denver, and so you're seeing this hot off the press. So it's really exciting. And if you like this talk, you can follow me at Marek_ on Twitter. My DMs are open, happy to answer any questions. And you can learn more at self.xyz and also at self protocol on Twitter. And so the talk today is, may the proof be with you, fighting Sybils with self protocol. And I couldn't help myself. I had to get in on this Ghibli craze and create some AI art for you. But I think the metaphor is actually quite fitting. If you think about Sybil attacks, and if you think about the clone army in Star Wars, clone army is made up of clones. And so these are all Sybils. And so you can think of yourself as kind of being one of these Jedi Knights that's using the power of self-protocol to help protect you against these Sybil attacks. But before we talk about how exactly you're going to do this, I wanted to introduce a little game that we're going to play during this talk. And the game is Guess the Country. So throughout my slides, it's the afternoon, it's after lunch. I want to wake you guys up a little bit. And the way I want to do that is I've sprinkled a few country shapes throughout these talks. And so if you see a country that you recognize, just yell out the name. We're going to try to make this competitive. We're going to maybe do like the left side of here and the right side of here, try to make you guys compete against each other. If you don't recognize a country name, just guess. The idea here is to make this fun, make this interactive. And so just to start you guys off with an easy country. Australia, okay, the left side's already winning, guys. What are you doing on the right? And I should add, this isn't arbitrary. Each of these countries is supported by self-protocol. Taiwan, of course, is also supported, but that would have been too easy for you guys, so it's not here on the slides. Okay, one more, a little warm-up. France, okay, 1-1. Next one? Canada, okay, right side is winning now. You guys on the left have to step it up. Okay, so now that you guys have an idea of what the game's like, again, look for country shapes. They're gonna be like sprinkled on top of my slides. And if you see a country you recognize, just yell it out. Okay, so I wanted to start by, talking about some of the biggest problems in crypto. What do you guys think? What are some of the big kind of unsolved problems that are plaguing us today? Any guesses? Nothing? Are we done? Too many problems. Okay, what are some of them? %. Sybils, these are real problems. Any other guesses? No problems? Liquidity fragmentation, it's a good one. Anything else? Privacy, UX, yes. Okay, finally, you guys are warming up. Lots and lots of problems. Any last remaining problems?
Right now, all collateral-based
Really good. A lot of the finance is collateral-based. A lot of lending markets require you to deposit collateral. Possibly also related to the fact that we're using capital as a way to solve Sybil problems. Okay, so I agree with you. Yes, are you sibling is a big problem that we continue to struggle with answering. It's a little ironic because proof of work, in theory, looked to solve this, but it requires a lot of electricity. Proof of stake solves this as well, but it requires a lot of capital, like those collateral-based lending markets. And then WorldCoin has solved this using, these orbs, But you have to be physically close to one of these orbs, and you have to be willing to, give up the privacy of how your iris looks. And so arguably, that hasn't solved the problem either. And so, are you sibling is kind of this open question that we've really struggled with as a ecosystem to solve completely. Anybody want to guess that country? Spain. Yes, I think that was on the left. So we're 2-2. So it's still neck and neck. Another problem, which I don't think anybody mentioned just now, is are you a bad actor, right? We had a rude reminder of this a few weeks ago with the Bybit hack. This is something that we really struggle with as an industry, and it's very, very difficult in a decentralized way to offer mechanisms to try to filter out bad actors. And so I would argue that this is a big, big unsolved problem today. And then finally, who would have thought? Singapore is right. 3-2 to the left side. Let's keep going. Are you human? Who would have thought we'd be having to worry about this question in today's day and age? But yet, with AI agents today, this is increasingly becoming a problem. I don't know, has anyone here read a tweet and wondered, did a human write that, or was it just an AI agent? Anybody? Okay, at least one person's on Twitter. There's a lot of crap on Twitter lately, it's crazy. And so it'd be quite useful to be able to know if these are bots creating this content or not. And arguably, it'd actually be useful for these AI agents themselves to know whether or not they are interacting with humans or not. And certainly over time, once AI agents are doing all the work and we're all living off of a UBI, certainly it'd be useful at that point for us to be able to know who's a human and who isn't, so that only humans get those UBIs. Okay, so Self protocol is really a new protocol that's designed to help, among other things, to answer these exact questions. And it's a new decentralized, zero knowledge, ZK snark-based protocol that we're really excited to be sharing with you today. Again, we launched it just a few weeks ago at ETH Denver, and it's the result of two teams coming together. The Open Passport team, which is a team that's been funded primarily by Ethereum Foundation grants for the last year and a bit, and Self Labs, which is a company that's spun out of the Celo Foundation. And we've come together to bring you this new protocol that we're just really, really excited to be sharing with you, which again is designed to help address some of those big open questions that we're facing together as an industry. And the way it works is by piggybacking on what I like to think is the biggest meat space attestation of your humanhood, probably the best such attestation that you can receive, and that of course is a physical passport. Who here has a physical passport? Okay, hopefully everyone. And one of the really nice things about passports is that they're relatively difficult to get. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to get two of them, certainly from one issuing country. Because you need them for travel, you generally keep them quite secure, and so they're generally harder to steal. And then these new biometric passports, and I say new, but really these things have been around for 20 years. These passports with that little logo, the little rectangle with a circle in the middle, those passports are called biometric passports, and they have a NFC chip inside them that actually stores your biometric data in a way that can be machine readable, certainly by the machines at the port of entries, but also by your mobile phones. And so that makes these identities really quite conducive to a new online identity system that we're going to be talking about today. Turkey is right, 4-2. You guys had like 1 minute to guess Turkey. Lots of time, come on. We gotta get some points on the right side over here. Okay, and so the way that these biometric passports work is they have your biometric data. This is a data that exists on your front page of your passport, stored digitally in a microchip in your passport, and it's signed by a certificate authority chain. And what that means is it's signed by multiple, effectively a chain of signatures that go all the way up to this country signing certificate authority, right? So the data itself is signed by this document signing certificate, and then that certificate can sign about 100,000 passports before it's retired. And each such certificate is then signed by a country signing certificate authority. And typically these country signing certificate authorities are long-lived. And so if you have all of these public keys to these certificate authorities, is a little bit under 200 countries. Each country maintains roughly 2 of these at any point in time, so roughly 400 certificates. If you know these 400 certificates, you can validate the authenticity cryptographically of any passport in the world. And that's really powerful. And so, these passports, they've been introduced now 20 years ago, and countries have rolled these out in order to make it really hard to forge these passports, right? It's no longer good enough for you to, print, the perfect, passport copy on the perfect paper with the perfect photo. If you don't have access to one of these keys, and, obviously these are closely guarded by these countries, you can't effectively forge a biometric passport. And so that's pretty nice. But what's even cooler is we can actually verify this just using math, just using cryptography. And we can do that without a counterparty. Right, so who here likes sharing their passport data with third parties when you're doing KYC? Third parties that may get hacked, may leak your data, may sell your data. Who loves sharing that data with these third parties? Anybody? Nobody, right? So instead, what if we could simply prove facts about yourself, or even prove that you have a valid passport, let's just start there, with just cryptography, where you verify that certificate authority chain on chain. So in a smart contract, you verify those signatures on a chain. Who would prefer that? Yeah, a few of you, right? But it's a trick question, because if we did that, we would be revealing all of your passport data to everyone in the world who can have, who has access to that chain. And so instead, what if we could verify that certificate authority chain in zero knowledge, so that you're proving it with just math, with no counterparty, but without revealing your data to anyone? Who would like that? Well, that's in effect self. Self allows you to register, where you're effectively, again, proving that certificate authority chain in zero knowledge, on chain, without a counterparty. And once you've done that, you can then selectively disclose specific facts about yourself in zero knowledge, right? So today, if you need to prove that you're from a certain country, or that you're over a certain age, you have to share all of your passport information with some counterparty that then goes and says, okay, yes, that looks correct. Yes, I can do the math. You're over 18 or over 21. But to do that, you have to share all of your information with these counterparties. But now, with ZK Snark zero knowledge technology, we can actually prove these statements about yourself without revealing additional information about yourself. Pardon? Yes, Czechia, technically. But which side are you on again? Okay, so now we're at 3-4. We're getting close to even. Let's keep going. That was a good guess. This is probably the hardest country on the map so far. So say that you want to prove that you're over a certain age, right? Now, with self, you don't have to actually reveal your age to prove that you're over, say, 18. Say that you want to prove that you're not from a set of countries, you can do that without revealing what country you are from. And better yet, say that you want to prove that you're not on the OFAC list, you can actually do that now with self without revealing pretty much anything else about yourself. And so it's pretty exciting. And best of all, you can do all of that and then associate these proofs with a particular address. So say that you want to interact with some DApp that maybe depends on one of these proofs. Maybe it's a trusted DEX that only allows folks who are not OFAC sanctioned to participate in the DEX. You can verify that you're not on the OFAC list, associate that proof with an address, and from that point on, you can have that address be basically allow listed by that DEX, and then that effectively unlocks access to that DEX. So you can make this proof once, and then from then on be able to use that DEX using your address. And if you want to use another address, maybe for a different application or even the same one, you can construct another proof where you can again prove that you're not on the OFAC list, associate with the address, and those two addresses won't be linkable to each other. And so each of these proofs, again, are done fully in zero knowledge in a way that doesn't allow you to then link them to your identity or even to other proofs that you've generated. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, you have a rough sense of what this is. Okay, we're proving passport data in zero knowledge, selectively disclosing information to third-party dApps, but what does this whole experience look like? We have a little recording here of the onboarding flow. So that's the first screen when you install the app. First step is to scan the passport. Turns out the data on the NFC chip is actually encrypted, and you need to scan the front page of your passport to be able to decrypt that data. This is a nice security feature so that someone can't bump into you and steal your passport data. Once you've scanned the first page of the passport, you can then tap the passport with your phone to read that NFC data. Once you've read that NFC data, we can generate that proof. And then you're off to the races. You're on the home screen. So let's see that one more time. That was pretty fast the first time. So we get started. We quickly scan the front page of your passport. This allows us to then decrypt the data on the NFC chip. You read the NFC data by getting your phone onto the NFC chip on your passport. The hardest part is actually finding the NFC chip on your passport. And then you generate the snark proof, and then you're done. And you've onboarded. And so once you've onboarded, and I should add that you can only do this once. And so say you wanted to use your same passport, use a different phone, try to register twice, again, try to create a Sybils account. That zcase, that snark proof effectively wouldn't allow you to do that. And so we basically, at registration, prevent these Sybils accounts. And then once you've registered, now you can start interacting with dApps that are interested in learning something about yourself. And the way we do that is through QR codes. So each dApp, we have this nice web SDK. Each dApp can generate a QR code. That QR code encodes what information the dApp would like you to disclose. That information is shown to you on the application, and if you agree to disclose it, you can hold down the button, generate a new snark proof that effectively proves that disclosure. So this could be as little as, I'm someone who owns a passport without revealing, who even issued that passport, all the way down to disclosing everything that's on your passport page if you would like to disclose that. Poland is right. Okay, so I think we're at 5-3. Okay, this is the final inning, guys. Everyone's gonna pay a lot of attention now. Okay, let's see this one more time because once again, that was pretty fast. So the dApp generates a QR code. We scan the QR code with the app. We look through what the dApp is requesting. If you agree to reveal that, you hold to verify. We generate a new snark proof. If that dApp is a Web 2 dApp, the proof is sent to that dApp through a webhook. If it's a Web 3 dApp, then we write the proof directly onto chain where it can be verified on chain. And so this self-supports both Web 2 and Web 3 use cases. And again, you can send those proofs either on chain or off chain, depending on your need. Okay, so how does all of this work? Well, it starts with a passport, of course, the biometric passport with an NFC chip. We have our mobile application that reads the NFC data. One thing that we did that we think is very important is we generate a secret for every passport, and we then back it up in the key store, in the iCloud key store, and then also in a secure part of Google Drive if you're using an Android. The secret is needed effectively to keep your information private from countries that have access to your passport data. So obviously your issuing country has your passport data, but also any country that you travel to typically has your passport data as well and can read the NFC chip on your passport when you're going through customs and immigration. And so to protect you from those countries seeing which dApps you're interacting with, we generate this secret, and to prevent you from losing that secret, we back it up for you automatically. If you don't trust iCloud and Google Drive, then you can also write down the secret manually on a piece of paper. With that secret, we can then generate these snark proofs. And unfortunately, the proving systems of today aren't really efficient enough to run on your mobile device. And so rather than waiting for these proving systems to get faster, we decided to accelerate the proving by using a trusted execution environment. So these are these secure enclaves that are running in the cloud. And the nice thing about these things is they're tamper-proof. They provide attestations that they are running very specific code. Those attestations is then are sent to your mobile device. And only once your mobile device receives that attestation will it send your passport data in an encrypted channel to this TEE. And that way you can be certain that the TEE is not running any code that will send that passport data to some database or leak it in some way. You're always guaranteed that that passport data is going to be used only for generating that snark proof and then deleted. And so the TEE can generate those snark proofs relatively quickly. These are big, beefy machines. And then for cases where you need these proofs on chain, we write them to the Celo chain. And because we have built-in Sybil resistance, we can actually pay for gas for you. And so the user doesn't actually need to connect the wallet to the Self app. All of the gas is taken for you automatically. And again, that's something that we can do because we have built-in Sybil resistance, which is pretty neat. So if you're a developer, if any of this sounds interesting, we're really excited for you to test out Self. Again, it just launched, and so we're very eager to get your feedback and for you to start playing around with it. So if you have any use cases where you might be interested in defending against Sybil attacks, maybe you're also interested in preventing bad actors from using your protocol, or you're in the AI space and you're struggling with knowing whether or not a human is interacting with you or an AI agent, and you'd like a way for people to verify that they are in fact not AI agents. All of these use cases, recovering a multi-sig wallet is another use case that's commonly cited that's I think pretty exciting. All the way down to these fun little kind of more frivolous ideas, but might also be fun to play around with. If you're into meme coins, you could generate a meme coin that requires you to verify something about yourself using Self. So you could do like a Bob coin where only Bobs can participate in that meme coin. So anything you can think of, you can play around with. If you want some very concrete ideas, that's right. Chile is right. This one. And then another point as well, which I think, wait a minute, this was on this side. We're tied. That's amazing. Yeah, so if you're interested in building an airdrop or launching your own airdrop or launching an airdrop service that offers Sybil resistance, you can use Self for that. If you're interested in creating a marketplace for AI agents and humans to trade work, and you need agents to be able to confirm that they're actually paying real humans, you could do that with Self. If you want to do an initial DEX offering where you can give individuals some sort of discount, that would be difficult before, but now you can do it. We talked a lot about these OFAC filtered DEXs, OFAC filtered lending markets. And then on the meme coin front, it's pretty cool. You can verify that it's someone's birthday. So you could do a birthday coin where you give out coins to people on their birthdays. Again, you can do a Bob coin where you give out coins only to people named Bob. Pretty much, anything that's on your passport kind of first page, you can use that information now to do fun things on-chain in a fully decentralized way without a counterparty. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much.
Right, we have some time for questions. Any questions? Yes, sir. Running over.
Thanks, interesting talk. Could a nation that's scanned your passport that you've gone through immigration impersonate you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it depends a little bit on your passport. So newer passports have this thing called active authentication, which effectively prevents people from impersonating you if they've just read your passport information. So newer passports have the technology to effectively prevent that. Not every country, unfortunately, uses this technology. And so the answer is certainly for those passports, yes, unless you register first. So as soon as you've registered, because we derive that extra secret for you, at that point on, no one can impersonate you, no one can register again. And so if you're concerned about that, and I suspect, most countries are not going to be thinking about this right now, but if you are concerned about it, certainly I would definitely encourage everyone to register ASAP, and that's the best way to protect against that.
More there. Oh, this is like amazing. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I guess I have two questions. One is, what happens if you lose your seed phrase? Is it possible to still access? And the second question is, I forget the second question now, but yeah, just the seed phrase. What happens?
Exactly.
Yes. So if you lose your seed phrase, you won't be able to, and you've uninstalled the app. If you haven't uninstalled the app, then you can just read the seed phrase in the app itself. But if you've uninstalled the app or lost your phone and lost the seed phrase, then you will need to get a new passport to be able to participate, which luckily you can do. It's a lot easier than recovering a wallet after you've lost the seed phrase from that wallet.
So when you're generating the proof, there's a business logic associated with it, typically called the proof function. So how do you specify or code up the proof function for the proof generation?
How do we specify it?
Yeah, or how do you code it to specify it? For example, I want to specify, I like to compare this string and that string, and very specific business logic, right? Given the documents, for example.
So if you're asking, how we've written these proofs, we've done it all in CIRCOM. It's all open source, so you can take a look at the code. And then we have a detailed spec as well in docs.self.xyz.
Okay.
All right. Oh, you have a very engaging. I actually also have a question. I'll leave it for folks.
Does this work in every country on the planet, like in Africa?
So every country that issues biometric passports, we worked really, really hard to support basically every country that issues biometric passports. Now unfortunately, there's no standard as to which hash functions and which signing functions countries are using for the certificate authority chain. And worse yet, they sometimes change these functions as you go up this chain. And so for every permutation that we've observed and that's been documented online, we've worked really hard to support. We're discovering every now and then that, some country has issued some number of passports with some new permutation of these things that we weren't expecting. And so we're actively updating the protocol every time we encounter that. But we're feeling pretty good about the number of countries and passports we support. So I think if you have a biometric logo on your passport, then I would expect that we will be able to scan your passport.
You said that the passport data is encrypted before sent to the TEE. So you're doing zero-knowledge proofs on encrypted data. I was just curious if you know what mechanism you're using to perform that.
So it's encrypted when it goes to the TEE, but then it's decrypted by the TEE. So it's not being proven while it's encrypted. And if you trust the TEE, then you don't need to keep it encrypted. I think longer term proving mechanisms will get faster and faster. We'll be able to generate these proofs on phones, so we won't need the TEE. But for now, this was the only kind of practical way to get to market and give you the benefits of self. With arguably the only small downside that you have to trust Intel to not have an exploit there. But again, your passport data is not stored on those TEs for very, very long. And so I think that should give people a lot of comfort.
Is the code on the TE open source in the app code?
Yes.
So then we don't have to trust, we just have to verify.
That's right.
Which is the beautiful thing here. I actually have a last question and maybe we can close it off. Oh, is there like a hand there? Sorry, I'm gonna give it to him. And I'm crying. Hopefully you ask my question, sir.
I finally remembered the question, which is that is it possible to unscramble, like supposing a wallet which has registered has now done something shady, is it now possible to unscramble and get the name of the person, or is that like since they only had to prove that they were from this country, we can't find out who this person was?
That is correct, yes. You can't reverse engineer the proof. You could maybe encourage the owner, If you're saying if there's a bad actor that somehow was able to generate some proof and now is doing something shady that's observable on chain, can we use this to figure out who that bad actor is? And the answer is probably not. It really depends what was disclosed when the user initially created that proof.
Sorry, one sec.
Could you then kind of like deny list that proof and be like in the future, or like put it on a specific list of being like that has been in bad actor?
Yeah, so I think the difficulty is associating that address with this identity of that user. I think because of the way that the system is designed, again, for everyone's privacy, it's not linkable. And so we can't go backwards either.
All right, selfishly, I was still gonna ask the last question. So I guess like the Sybil here, let's say if I want to Sybil, the effort that I need to go through is basically to have a new phone, have a new passport, and then can I register that again, or is that not possible?
Have a new phone, have a new passport, probably also have a new Google and Apple account.
Which is easy to get, actually, right?
Yeah, if you have all those, then yes, you can create another account.
Got
But
it.
you might be able to do that 1 or 2 times if you if you're lucky enough to have a passport from multiple countries. But beyond that, you're probably not going to be able to do it 100 times.
Yeah, like certainly like increases a lot of the effort for the Sybil. Like I cannot keep losing my passport for 100 times without raising suspicions.
Oh, even if you lose your passport, countries typically create these revocation lists. And so it's your lost passports, depending on your issuing country, whether or not they're maintaining these lists, you can actually verify in zero knowledge. In addition to verifying the certificate authority chain, you can also verify that you don't exist in one of these revocation lists. So there are ways to mitigate kind of the lost passport attack that you're referring to. I think realistically, it's only going to be people with multiple passports from multiple issuing countries that are actually valid that would be able to generate multiple accounts.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the fun presentation. And also, I think it's like really important, like to finally link, the real world stuff and then onto the blockchain, and we can start adding some reputation, credit base, etc. All those things are built on top of this. And again, welcome home to Ethereum, and thank you, Marek.
Thank you.